Hello there everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Elliot Webber and it's that time again folks. It is that time again. Welcome to my 2026 BTCC lineup predictions. So as always, let's get straight into this. Now obviously before we start off, there are already a couple of seats that are confirmed for 2026. Most recently, the Laser Tools Racing with MB Motorsport duo at Toyota. Yet, that lineup is already confirmed, that being three-time BTCC champion Gordon Shedden and multiple-time race winner Aaron Taylor-Smith. So yeah, I don't need to predict MB Motorsport because that lineup is already confirmed. We already know one of the Team Virtue / Accelerate seats that is once again being filled by Tom Chilton, and there is one seat, I believe Chris Smiley at Restart Racing, while is not officially announced yet, I do think that is more or less confirmed that he will be back at Restart Racing. And there are also a couple of others. Dan Camish and Ash Sutton are, I believe, on multi-year deals at NAPA Racing, so don't expect them to be going anywhere over the winter. I'm pretty sure that's it. But for everyone else, it's free gain, it's free reign to predict where everyone will be. And that is exactly what I'm going to be doing once again, as is yearly tradition on this channel. Now, obviously, if you have your own predictions, let me know in the comments below. But it is time to start off with the reigning Drivers' Champions, Team Virtue / Accelerate. And again, as mentioned, Tom Chilton is already confirmed in one of those seats. Another driver who I'm pretty sure, while not officially announced yet, is also going to be confirmed or is already confirmed, and that is of course the new reigning champion Tom Ingram. I fully believe he'll be back at Accelerate Motorsport. No reason for him to change. He's now won 2 championships there, could very well win a third in 2026, and hopefully as well we will see the number 1 back on his rear windows. So that's already 2 seats predicted, Tom and Tom, Chilton and Ingram, but it's the other 2 that are sort of a bit of a mystery. Probably, depending on who you are, depending on who you believe will be in those final 2 Hyundai seats. For me, I'm predicting no change. I fully believe that Senna Proctor and Adam Morgan will return to Team Virtue for the 2026 BTCC season. Reason being, they've got no reason to leave. Adam Morgan and Senna Proctor both were brilliant in 2026. Although neither of them won races, Adam was very, very important to Tom Ingram's championship assault. Okay, yes, Adam at sometimes was also driving for himself, as he should. There were some moments, especially in the latter half of 2026, where Adam Morgan was being a bit of a headache for the NAPA Racing boys, and I think Adam did his job perfectly. And hopefully, with a second year in that Hyundai, with a second year back in front-wheel drive, we will once again be seeing Adam Morgan back at the winner's step on the podium. And same for Senna Proctor. Senna was brilliant, just, you know. Senna was driving like he hadn't spent 3 years out of racing. So, you know, for Senna to come back and have such a big impact, not just on the team, but the championship itself, I don't see a reason that Senna won't be back, aside from obviously budget, financial stuff. But I really hope, and I do think that those issues won't be a problem, because I think Senna, on talent alone this year, proved that he deserves a spot on the BTCC grid. So yeah, that is that. My Team Virtue lineup prediction for 2026 is of course reigning champion Tom Ingram, Tom Chilton, Senna Proctor and Adam Morgan. Now let's move on to NAPA Racing. Yes, it's NAPA Racing next, and this is the first team where we're not just predicting what the lineup's going to look like, we're also predicting what car they are going to be using, because for so long now, for about a year or so, it has been rumoured that 2025 was going to be the last year of the Ford Focus for NAPA Racing. Do I think it's the last year for the Ford Focus? No, I do see the Ford Focus. Well, I don't think it will be at NAPA Racing in 2026. I do see the Ford Focus moving on to a different team, and I will get into that team, obviously, later in the video. But do I think the Ford Focus will stay at NAPA Racing? Well, I've just said that no, but I think my personal prediction is that NAPA will continue using a Ford Focus, but they will move away from the hatchback ST that we've all come to know and love in recent years. I do think that they will be moving to a saloon type Ford Focus, which I'm pretty sure you can get in the UK. Obviously, if you can't, don't worry, because starting in 2027, that rule no longer applies. But I do think, and also from what I've heard, it's looking like that the Ford Focus will stay with NAPA Racing, but it will be in a saloon. It will be a saloon / coupe / whatever. I think you can understand what I'm saying. So yeah, Ford Focus still for NAPA Racing, but this time a saloon Ford Focus, which I think is going to be very interesting. I know there were some rumours of an estate car coming NAPA Racing's way for 2026, but personally, I don't see that coming. I don't think we will see an estate car in the BTCC for a long time, unless obviously we get a manufacturer that wants to come in and promote their type of SUV or crossover or saloon car until the 2027 rule set come in. So yeah, as mentioned, a Ford Focus saloon for NAPA Racing. And then the drivers. Well, again, as mentioned at the start of the video, Dan Cammish and Ash Sutton, I don't see them going anywhere. Obviously, as we know, Ash Sutton, 4-time champion, doesn't need to leave, has no reason to leave, unless, of course, he gets an offer, a better offer elsewhere. But still, I think NAPA Racing are a strong team, and I fully believe that once again, we will see Ash Sutton fighting for a 5th championship in 2026. As for Dan Cammish, again, I think he's come into his own at NAPA Racing. I think, okay, yeah, he was brilliant at Honda and Team Dynamics, but as it pains me to say, he seems like he's become a more complete driver at NAPA Racing. And once again, we do know that Dan Cammish has been allowed to fight for the championship at the first half and the middle half of the season. But then, as we know, he sometimes has had to help Ash Sutton, and he did that, and he did the same this year in 2025. Do I think that's going to be different? I hope not. I do hope we see Dan Cammish in a proper championship battle in 2026. I'm sure he'll be hoping for the same. But yeah, again, as mentioned, 2 of those seats predicted already, Ash Sutton and Dan Cammish. But now it's the other 2 seats, similar to Accelerate. The other 2 seats is the ones we need to predict. Now, I think one of them we already know is probably going to be filled by Sam Osborne, and that's what I'm predicting again. But I think this time, instead of just predicting him because of who his dad is, I am predicting him to be there on talent. I think, 2025 was undoubtedly Sam Osborne's best season in the British Touring Car Championship. Multiple top 10s. Consistency, more consistency than ever, I should say. And obviously, I can't talk about Sam Osborne and not also bring up that incredible maiden win at Silverstone. I think that drive alone is what's given Sam Osborne a bit of merit in the championship. He has now merited his way onto the BTCC grid firmly, and hopefully in 2026 Sam Osborne can keep on improving and growing into a better driver, because it's not just good for him, it's also good for the championship. We want to see some of the best drivers in the country racing in this series, and I do think Sam Osborne is slowly starting to become one of those. So yeah, three are staying the same, but it's the 4th seat that I think is getting a change. I think everyone knows by now it's looking likely that Dan Rowbottom will not be continuing at NAPA Racing for the 2026 season. I will get into where I think he will be further down in this video. I'm sure you can guess where I'm going to predict him next year, but it's that 4th seat that is obviously a bit of a mystery. There have been some rumours of Jamie Osborne coming up, Sam's little brother, potentially moving up from the mini challenge, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I'm not too sure, but last time we heard he was still fighting the illness that he had. Jamie, if you are watching this, please get well soon, and we do hope to see you back in a race car next year. So with that, now this is a bold prediction. This is a prediction where it might not happen. It most likely won't. This is an Elliott Webber prediction video so not all of these are going to be correct. And this is definitely one that I think this one might not happen. But still, I've predicted it because I think it's still a possibility. I still think this could happen as well as it not happening. So yeah, my prediction for NAPA Racing's 4th driver for 2026 is Rory Butcher. Yeah, I'm predicting Rory Butcher to return to the British Touring Car Championship in 2026. Why? Well, first off, he did say in an interview a couple of years ago that he's still got unfinished business in this championship. Rory is someone who can definitely be obviously a proven race winner, has been an outsider for the championship before, never a proper contender, but has always been in with a mathematical shot in a couple of years. And not only that, we do know he has actually been helping out at NAPA Racing these past couple of years, especially coaching Sam Osborne in the back half of 2024 and into 2025. So I definitely think this one could be a possibility, and I do think that, you know, Rory is definitely going to be a driver that can fill the shoes that Dan Rowbottom will leave at NAPA Racing, because of course, as we know, Rory is a solid driver. And yeah, I do think this definitely could be something that happens in the near future. So yeah, now let's move on to the next team. So next up is West Surrey Racing, WSR, LKQ Euro car parts with Synetic, whatever they're going to be called in 2026. Now, according to the TBL list that got released a couple of weeks ago, it's looking like the WSR will have 3 cars for 2026 instead of 4. Obviously, this makes a lot of sense given how MB have moved away from BMW and are now at Toyota with Speedworks. But still, I think 2 of these seats have already been filled. Obviously, they have not been officially announced. But I do predict Aidan Moffat and Charles Rainford will be back in the BMWs in 2026. For Charles, I mean, he was solid in his rookie season. You know, obviously, first podium, first pole position, a maiden win as well. Charles was unbelievable for a rookie in that BMW. And I do think a second season, more consistency. Obviously, he's going to only get quicker as well. There is a possibility Charles Rainford could be an outsider for the 2026 championship if he comes back. And I really hope he does. Charles is someone who seems like he just loves racing. And that's a driver who, I love drivers who love that. You know, they don't get too serious, but at the same time, they know that they are racing in one of the most competitive championships in the world. So yeah, I'm fully on the Charles Rainford hype train in 2026. I'm fully backing him to be an outsider for the title. As for Aidan Moffat, I mean, obviously, as we know, this guy can't buy luck at the minute by the looks of it. Aidan obviously unfortunately was winless in 2025 despite obviously being in a WSR BMW, but again, I think I am a big fan of Aidan Moffat. I've always loved him ever since he debuted in BTCC, and I fully hope that he can get out of this bad luck phase and hopefully more luck comes his way in 2026. But yeah, I am predicting Rainford and Moffat at BMW. But then that just leaves 1 more seat available at WSR, and there already has been a load of talk as to who this could be. Obviously, rumours are we could be seeing a return as well. I know there have been some talk of Daryl De Leon moving on into a GT career. Obviously, he was one of the finalists for the Porsche GB Junior. He didn't win that. Junior. So for now, Daryl De Leon doesn't have a seat, which is why some people have said that he might come back to BMW, but unfortunately, as much as this pains me to say because I'm a huge Daryl De Leon fan, I unfortunately don't see De Leon coming back to BTCC in 2026. I do believe that it will be a returning driver to the series, someone who has only had a year out of BTCC. You can probably tell by the thumbnail as well. I am predicting Colin Turkington to return to the British Touring Car Championship in 2026. Why? Well, as we know, it's going to be a transitional year for some teams in BTCC with obviously the 2027 rule set still 12, 13, 14 months away. But still, I think that WSR will need some stability. They will need some experience. No disrespect to Aidan. Obviously, we know Aidan's been around for a while. But I do think that WSR need Colin Turkington to have an ounce of a championship threat in 2026. Obviously, as we know, Colin, he's no spring chicken anymore, but we've seen it, especially in 2024, that age is just a number when it comes to Colin Turkington, and he will be at the sharp end of the grid if he comes back. Again, sort of more wishful thinking, but still, I do believe Colin Turkington will be back in the WSR BMW alongside Aidan Moffat and Charles Rainford. Now let's move on to Toyota Gazoo Racing. Some of you are probably wondering, Elliot, why are you talking about Toyota Gazoo Racing? I mean, haven't they confirmed their lineup? Well, again, as mentioned, it's only the MB Motorsport side of the Toyota garage that has been filled. That being, of course, Flash and ATS, which means we've got 2 Toyota/Speedworks seats that need to be filled. My personal prediction for these 2 seats are very simple. One of them is Max Buxton. Yeah, I believe Max Buxton will be back in a Toyota Corolla next year. Obviously, his father Danny is I believe the team manager at Speedworks. Hi Danny, I know you're watching this as well. So yeah, and Max Buxton, I mean, he came in midway through last year. He didn't have a ton of expectations. Obviously, not a lot of people knew who he was, unless obviously you had been watching the Fiestas he was racing midway through 2025. But he kept out of trouble. He didn't get into a lot of incidents. He didn't crash, which is obviously a good thing for most teams. He stayed out of trouble, and even then, when there were some crazy races, he actually scored some points. And obviously, again, this was during a time where Toyota were struggling, and obviously they were changing engines as well, moving back to the M Sport Toka engine. And that seems to have done a trick. It also looked like that Max Buxton also improved when they changed to the Toka engine. And again, obviously Max is very young. He's 19, 20 years old. So, you know, there is always room for improvement there. And I fully believe that Speedworks as well, I do think that they will improve after a solid end to 2025. I believe that Toyota, they can still ride that momentum into 2026 and hopefully again be regular race winners and be fighting at the sharp end again. And Max Buxton, I think he's done enough to, you know, deserve to retain his seat. I believe that he should be there. He's a solid driver, and yeah, again, he's only going to get better because he's still only 19, 20 years old. But as for his teammate, now again, there have been some rumours of Josh Cook once again staying on at Toyota and Speedworks for 2026, but I don't see that happening. I see Josh Cook elsewhere. I will once again get into that later in the video. And I think the final Toyota seats at Speedworks will be filled by a returning James Dorlin. Yep, I believe James Dorlin will be back at Toyota Gazoo Racing for 2026. And hopefully this time he completes his maiden season. Obviously, as we know, he had to step away from Toyota because Josh Cook came back to the team. Whether or not it was by mutual agreement or James Dorlin did have some financial issues, again, there's loads of stories online. Believe what you want to believe. But I believe that James Dorlin will be back in 2026. And hopefully after what was a pretty decent maiden season, he can come back, be right on the pace again, be in the top 10, which he was doing before his departure. Be in the top 10, fighting for points, and hopefully this time he could be fighting for podiums and maybe even a few race wins as well. So yeah, that is the Toyota lineup. The already confirmed Gordon Shedden and Aaron Taylor-Smith, and then Max Buxton and James Dorlin. Now let's move on to PowerMaxed Racing. Now, this is the first of the big changes going on at PowerMaxed Racing. Obviously, if you haven't seen the news already, where have you been? It was announced a few months ago, just before the finale weekend, in fact, that PowerMaxed Racing will be using Audi S3s for the 2026 BTCC season. Obviously, it won't be the returning Audi S3. Obviously, the S3 is coming back, but it will be the newer model of the S3. So we haven't seen this model in BTCC before. We have seen the previous version of it though, if that makes sense. I hope it does. So yeah, also as well, PowerMaxed Racing have confirmed they are intending to build not just 2 Audis, but 3 for the 2026 season. Obviously, it was revealed in the TBL list that PowerMaxed have 3 TBLs, and they have done for a few years now. But obviously, they only had 2 TBLs. They only had used 2 cars in 2025. But they confirmed on their Instagram, in fact, that they are planning on building and using all 3 of their TBLs and building 3 Audi S3s. Best of luck to PowerMaxed Racing. Obviously, it's no mean feat building a new touring car for a new season. But again, PowerMaxed have come back from worse. I mean, they had a freaking fire this year, and they still finished the season. So if there's any team that can build 3 brand new cars on the grid, it's PowerMaxed Racing. Now, that means, of course, that there will be some changes in their driver lineup, because obviously, as we know already, Nick Halstead has confirmed that he will not be returning to the BTCC in 2026. Best of luck to you, Nick. I know you're watching this. So that means that there's not just 1 more driver to predict, there's 2. And I know what you're probably wondering. Elliot, only 2? What about the 3rd? Well, I believe Mikey Doble will be back at PowerMaxed Racing for the 2026 season. Why? Again, Mikey has firmly become the #1 driver in that team now, especially after last year where obviously he took his maiden race win at Snetterton, and that to me believed that Mikey Doble is a talent for the future. He's only young, he's only I think 25, 26 years old. He's incredibly young, in fact, for a touring car driver. And I fully believe that Mikey, if this car is quick, Mikey will be the top man at PowerMaxed Racing. And yeah, hopefully once again he can keep on improving, because this is a big deal, I think. I know obviously we've got other teams coming in with obviously an unknown car, rumours of a car, and obviously the team boss making big statements that he's going to be a race winner straight away. But I think PowerMaxed is another team to watch, especially with this new car. This is definitely going to be a team to watch in 2026 with the new car, and I believe Mikey Doble will be the one putting in the results. No disrespect to the other two drivers that I'm going to be predicting, and in fact, let's get into those. My prediction to complete the PowerMaxed Racing Audi trio will be, first off, Finn Leslie. I believe Finn Leslie will be making his BTCC full-time debut in 2026. Why do I believe this? Well, it has been rumoured ever since his one-off appearance with Toyota Gazoo Racing this year at Alton Park. Obviously, stayed out of trouble, was on the pace, scored some points in the last race. Not only that, Finn Leslie was brilliant in TCR UK in what was also his debut season in TCR. Got a couple of podiums, was right on the pace, competing for multiple top tens. Even was, had shouts of victories as well in the mid-season. And I fully believe that Finn Leslie has done enough to warrant a full-time shot. PowerMaxed Racing, they've been one of those teams that, like to give youngsters a chance. And, why not give Finn Leslie a chance? I believe, especially as well with a new car, especially as well moving into a new era, sort of, with the 2027 rule set as well. I believe that Finn Leslie is going to be a star of the future. And I really think this is actually going to happen. I would be more surprised if it doesn't, because as well, Finn Leslie has driven for PowerMaxed Racing in TCR UK before, obviously, the fire already had to depart. But still, yeah, I think Finn Leslie will be partnering Mikey Doble at PowerMaxed Racing, and they will be joined by a returning Bobby Thompson. Yep, I do believe Bobby Thompson will be back in the BTCC in 2026. Not with WSR, unfortunately, as some people might want. I do believe he will be back with PowerMaxed Racing. Again, why PMR? I mean, I think, again, I think this is more wishful thinking. Again, I'm a huge Bobby Thompson fan, fellow Essex boy like Bobby. So yeah, I definitely think that we all know Bobby Thompson is deserving of a BTCC seat. The fact that he hasn't even won a race yet in this championship just goes to show how harsh motorsport is from time to time. But yeah, I believe that Bobby will be back in 2026, and once again, like Mikey, will be pushing that Audi to its very limit from race one. So yeah, that's my PowerMaxed Racing prediction. Mikey Doble, Finn Leslie, and Bobby Thompson. Now let's move on to Restart Racing. In fact, we're going to do the final three teams in this one clip. Restart Racing, Unlimited Motorsport, and obviously Plato Racing. Starting off with Restart Racing, obviously they're sticking with the Hyundai i30N Fastback. No real reason to change the car. No real reason to change the lineup either. I believe Chris Smiley and Dan Lloyd will be back at Restart Racing for the 2026 season. Why? Again, they have got no reason to change their lineup. They had a brilliant 2025. Both drivers did, and the team as well. Obviously, Chris Smiley got the team their first ever podium finish, and then Dan Lloyd later in the year got the team their first ever race win in their first year with that Hyundai. It was a brilliant season for Restart Racing, and I think if they can keep on improving, especially with that car, with the Swindon engine as well, let's not forget, there is a chance that maybe these two could be a bit of a headache for the other Hyundai team in 2026. And it's going to be interesting to see. So yeah, that's that. Smiley, Dan Lloyd at Restart Racing. Now moving on to Unlimited Motorsport. Now, this one is also intriguing because I believe that we won't see the Cupra in 2026. I know that they have been doing passenger laps already at the end of this year. But I think the reason why Unlimited have been doing that is because I think that they haven't received their new cars yet, because I believe that Unlimited Motorsport will be using the hatchback Ford Focuses from NAPA Racing, and they will be using them in 2026. Now, again, looking at the TBL list, they've only got 2 TBL, so I believe they will only be using 2 two of the Ford Focuses. Obviously, they can use the third and fourth as spare shells and whatnot. So my lineup. Now, again, this one's going to be pretty boring. My Unlimited Motorsport lineup prediction is going to be Dexter Patterson and Nicholas Hamilton. Why? Again, neither of them, you know, they don't need to go anywhere else. I don't think so, unless obviously they can move on to different teams. But still, I fully believe that it will be Patterson and Hamilton. Again, both of these drivers keep on improving year on year, despite what people say about Nick Hamilton. He's a good driver. I'm going to keep on saying that till the cows come home. And again, for Dexter had a really good season, I think. Obviously, he wasn't getting, you know, he wasn't fighting for podiums, he wasn't doing this or that, but he was a contender for the JST, and he was also a contender for the Independence Championship as well. I think Dexter's season was very underrated. Obviously, not a lot of people were looking at him, obviously, as we had a championship fight to worry about. But still, Dexter, I think, again, he keeps on improving as well. And I think, you know, he's also young. He's also like 22, 23, I think, or even 21. I know he's about my age. So, yeah, he is about 21, 22 years old. So, yeah, he's going to keep on improving. And again, Nick Hamilton, I know some people don't like him for whatever reason. But again, he has proven time and time again he deserves to be on this BTCC grid. And in fact, just look at the lap times in qualifying compared to other seasons. In this year alone, Nick Hamilton was the closest he's ever been to the pace. And I think, you know, that's not just down to having a good team behind him. It's also down to him. He does still have to drive that car. And he's been doing it very well for a long, long time. So, yeah, again, Nick Hamilton, Dexter Patterson, my lineup predictions. Now, I know as well, there have been some rumours of Nürburgring specialist Misha Charudin. I hope I've pronounced that right. I know there have been rumours of Misha joining the championship, but unfortunately, I don't see that happening. I know he did passenger laps with Unlimited Motorsport at Donington Park a few weeks ago. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't see Misha joining the championship. But that would be really interesting to see. I love Misha's videos. He's obviously a cracking driver as well at the Nürburgring. And that would be really good to see. Not because it wouldn't be good, not just for obviously Unlimited. It would be great for the championship to have someone like Misha joining the series with his type of following. Not just obviously, I'm sure many people know him in the UK, but he's also got a big worldwide audience. Obviously, being a driver that regularly checks out the Nürburgring. So, you know, it would be very cool to see. I would love to see it, but unfortunately, I don't see it happening. But again, I've been wrong many, many times before. But now, let's end this video off with the one that you have all been waiting for, I'm sure. My lineup prediction for Plato Racing and predicting their car. Because that still has not been announced yet. I know Plato, he was teasing us when he made this announcement that, oh, we'll know by November. We still don't know anything. And that's typical Jason Plato, I think. So, the car. There have been many a rumour as to which manufacturer he would go with. Personally, I don't think it will be a manufacturer entry, but still, I think we will see a new car on the grid in the hands of Jason Plato with RML as well. Don't forget, that's, I think, a big selling point is that RML are coming back to the championship, which I think, again, that's going to be big. It's always big, especially because it's Plato, it's RML, but my car prediction for Plato Racing, I do believe the rumours. I think it's going to be the Mercedes CLA for 2026. The Mercedes is coming back to the grid. I don't think it's going to be the A-Class. I don't see Plato bringing a hatchback. It seems like we are moving out of hatchback phases and we are moving back to four-door saloons, which is why I do believe the CLA will be coming back in the hands of Jason Plato and RML. But the drivers, who are the drivers going to be? There's two names that I've purposely missed out in the previous lineups. I'm sure you know who I'm going to predict. That's right. I believe Plato Racing's first lineup in their British Touring Car Championship debut will be Dan Rowbottom and Josh Cook. Pretty boring given the rumours, but still, I believe the rumours. I firmly believe that Robo and Cookie will be the lineup for Plato Racing. Why? Well, I think it's well known. I think Robo to Plato Racing is the worst kept secret in the paddock. I feel like this is going to be the one where it will get announced and everyone will go, yeah, we knew that. As same for Josh Cook. I know obviously there's some rumours that maybe Josh could be on his way back at Toyota, but No, I fully believe. Obviously, as we know, Josh Cook was once a member of Jason Plato's KX Academy, so Cookie has that mentorship from Plato, and I think that will continue into 2026. So yeah, that is it, guys. That is my lineup predictions for the 2026 British Touring Car Championship season. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, guys. Who do you think will be where for the 2026 British Touring Car Championship season? Because then we can all look back at this at April and we can all laugh at how wrong I was. But no, this time I'm pretty confident that most of these will be right come 2026. But again, we'll just have to find out. Yes. Thank you guys for watching. Of course, if you are new around here, be sure to like this video, share with your mates as well, because it of course does help my channel grow. And of course, press that subscribe button, because we are firmly on the road to 400 subscribers. We are just 10 subs away from 400. And again, if you haven't been watching, then if I hit 400 subs by the end of 2025, I will get a BTCC tattoo on my body. But that's only if we hit 400 subs by the end of the year. If come January 1st, 2026, I'm sitting on like 398 or 399, I'm not getting a tattoo, unfortunately. It has to be 400 subs by January 1st. Okay, I hope you all got that. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see all of you in the next one. Goodbye.